However, let's go into a different kind of competing narrative. One of my old sticking points here, the Armenian genocide of 1915, when 1.5 million Christian Armenian citizens of the Ottoman Empire were ruthlessly exterminated, and deliberately so. That's what makes it a genocide. In my paper, we call it the first Holocaust, capital H, of the 20th century. Anyway, I got a very good example in April this year, when I gave a lecture in Toronto to mark the 95th anniversary of the 1915 Armenian genocide. Before my talk, I was interviewed, however, on Canadian television, CTV, which also owns the Toronto Globe and Mail newspaper. And from the start, I could see that the interviewer who was talking to me had a problem. Canada has a large Armenian community, but Toronto also has a large Turkish community. And the Turks, as the Globe and Mail always tells us, hotly dispute that this was a genocide. You can imagine if the Germans hotly disputed the Jewish Holocaust, the kind of withdrawal of diplomats that would be happening, and rightly so. But the Armenian genocide was real. So the interviewer, talking to me, called the Armenian genocide deadly massacres. I want you to think about this phrase, deadly massacres. I spotted her problem straight away, of course. She couldn't call the massacres a genocide because the Turkish community would be outraged. But equally, she sensed that massacres on its own, especially with the gruesome pictures of dead Armenians in the background of the screen, was not quite up to defining 1.5 million murdered human beings. Hence the deadly massacres. How odd. I thought there were massacres in which you died. Apparently, there are some massacres where you don't die because you had to define this one as a deadly massacre. Welcome to television journalism again. Not only is it meant to mislead you, it's meant to mislead the people who are doing the interviewing. This kind of journalistic cowardice to my Armenian audience was fairly obvious, but when I spoke to them later in the Armenian Genocide Memorial Lecture which I gave, I pointed all this out. And within an hour of ending, my Armenian host receives an SMS, I think you call it text message here, from a CTV reporter. Quote, I took it down, of course, "Shitting on CTV was way out of line." This is me, right? I doubted personally if the word shitting would find its way onto CTV, even if genocide couldn't either. But you see, what had happened is that competing narratives had just exploded. It didn't work. Total disk failure, as it always says on my computer. Anything technological I touch, taxis, elevators, stops working. Yet the use of the language of power and of its beacon words and its beacon phrases, like a lighthouse out there, shining it out at you, terror, 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 you see. It goes on among us still. How many times have I heard Western reporters talking about foreign fighters in Afghanistan? Now, they're referring, of course, to the various Arab groups supposedly in their masses helping the Taliban. But when you actually talk, you know, these people are supposed to come from Chechnya, and few of them do. The generals call them foreign fighters. And immediately we Western reporters did the same. But when you actually go to Afghanistan like I do, it's obvious there are 160,000 foreign fighters, and most of them are wearing American military uniforms. You know, it's extraordinary that the questions we don't ask you. I've had now, quite independently of the first person who asked me, who was a baker who sold me water in Baghdad a long time ago, I've had my landlord ask me quite independently the same question a few weeks ago in Beirut. He's a Druze, he's not even Sunni. He said, "Mr. Robert, why are you," he meant the Western military, "why are you in Pakistan and Afghanistan? Why are you in Iraq? Why are you in Tajikistan?" French Air Force fly from Dushanbe to give close air support to the British in Helmand province. Why are you in Jordan, where we're training the Iraqi army and police? Why are you in, well, Israel? Why are you in Turkey, in Incirlik, close air support again? Why are you in Egypt, which is now making the M1A1 Abrams tank for the United States? Why are you in Bahrain, headquarters of the US 7th Fleet in the Gulf? Why are you in Qatar, headquarters of the largest air base of the United States in the Arab world? Why are you in Saudi Arabia? Why are you in Kuwait? Why are you in Yemen? Why are you in Algeria? US Special Forces have a secret base outside Taman Rasset in the southern Sahara. And independently, these two people, who are more than 1,000 miles apart, had the same question, which I've never seen asked in the New York Times or CNN or Fox News, or indeed the BBC, or indeed, until they asked me, the Independent of London. What are we doing? It's an iron curtain we are building. it starts, in fact, way up in Greenland. US bases Greenland, United Kingdom, Germany, of course, Bosnia, Camp Bondsteel, Greece, US Sixth Fleet headquarters at Izmir, joins up with Turkey. So from the ice cap almost to the equator, we didn't make it in Lebanon and Somalia for reasons we won't go into. From the ice cap almost to the equator, we have built an iron curtain, tougher, bigger, more dangerous than the one of which Churchill warned here in this country after the Second World War. What's beyond it? China? Russia? India? Why are we building this wall? What's it for? Why are the billions we're putting into it? Well, we've pulled out of Iraq, except for 50,000 troops who are non-combat, even though they've actually been in combat 4 times in the last 9 days. But that doesn't matter. It's part of the fantasy. We go along with it. We're happy to go along with it. Look at the pernicious phrase AFPAC. Afghanistan, Pakistan, you've worked it out. It was another State Department. AFPAC. Slick, quick, good fix. As racist as it is politically dishonest. It's now used by reporters, although it was originally a creation of the State Department on the day Richard Holbrooke was appointed US Special Representative to Afghanistan and Pakistan. And Holbrooke was told, you don't mess with Kashmir. Because, of course, India is our friend. India is our buffer state against China. India we will collaborate with on nuclear power, not with Pakistan. They both got the bomb, so it doesn't matter anyway. I mean, frankly, look at, why don't we invade North Korea? It's got a bomb. So why do the Iranians want a bomb? If they do, I can have a bloody good idea to stop us invading or bombing them. But let's go back to the Holbrooke thing. AFPAC, you see, by deleting India, effectively deleted the Kashmir crisis from the conflict in Southeast Asia. But for the Pakistanis, it was a slap in the face. It meant America was going to go along with the Indian version of what Kashmir would become, even though before the Afghan war there was a possible federal solution there, an idea of demilitarization of the whole region. And so Kashmir has now been deleted from any American-Pakistani debate. The result, those people in Pakistan who are most angry about Kashmir moving towards the Indian side are the ISI, the Inter-Services Intelligence. These are the people who are helping the Taliban. Look at the WikiLeaks stuff the other day. So the Taliban continued to be fed and armed with the help of the ISI because of Kashmir. Therefore, American soldiers die in Afghanistan because of Kashmir. And Kashmir, like Palestine, is something we will not deal with because we want to give them democracy, along with lots of weapons. We want to give them human rights. And I think the Muslim world would like some packages of human rights from our supermarket shelves. But what they ask for is justice, and this we do not intend to give them, neither in Kashmir, nor in Palestine, nor in all the other areas, including southern Lebanon.